Did you know one of Jesus' disciples is believed to have walked on Indian soil? Long before churches rose across India, a man named Thomas traveled far from Jerusalem carrying the message of Christ. His journey would eventually lead him to the southern shores of India and to a mysterious hill in Chennai, Madras, that still carries his memory today. There are only very limited details about him in the Bible that we read every day. He appears thrice in the Gospel of St. John. Once, chapter 11, verse 16, then another time, chapter 14, verse 5, and the last time, chapter 20, verses 25 to 29. The three occasions are the resurrection of Lazarus, the Last Supper, and the resurrection of Christ. In the Gospel, he is named as Thomas, who was known as Didymus, means twin, was one of the 12 disciples of Jesus. According to the New Testament, Thomas, commonly known as the Doubting Thomas, because he initially doubted the resurrection of Jesus. If you remember the story in the Gospel, soon after resurrection of Jesus, he wanted to see his beloved disciples who were hiding fear of persecution, and only 11 were present. Thomas was not present. When Thomas returned home, the disciples told him that they have seen the Lord. And Thomas didn't believe in their words. And when second time Jesus returned to his disciples, he confessed his faith with his famous words, "My Lord, my God." Traditional accounts, he landed in Muziris, modern day Kodungaluru, on the Malabar coast of Kerala. His arrival established foundation for the St. Thomas Christian community, also known as Nazarenes, making Christianity one of the oldest practiced religion in the subcontinent. He began his ministry in Kerala, where he is traditionally credited with establishing 7 churches. Names of those 7 churches today: Kodungaluru, Palayur, Paravur, Kokkamangalam, Niranam, Nilakal, Kollam. After his time in Kerala, he travelled across the Indian peninsula to the Coromandel coast. He then arrived at Mylapore in the year 702 AD. He settled in Mylapore in the present day Chennai. He preached resurrected Christ to all people, especially to the Brahmins, who belonged to upper caste, because tradition says St. Thomas believed if Brahmins, who were not only belonged to upper caste but well educated group of the time. Above all, they have economic, spiritual and political influence on the people of the time. St. Thomas believes if they believe in Christ, then it is easy with other communities to preach the gospel. As the time go by, many Brahmins began to follow Christ. Seeing this phenomenon, some local leaders thought, if we leave St. Thomas like this, there is a danger for the Brahminic community. So they sought to persecute St. Thomas. Fleeing persecution from local leaders, he sought refuge in a cave at a little Mount Chennai. According to tradition, he miraculously escaped his pursuers through a hidden opening in the cave. He then fled to St. Thomas Mount, where he was martyred by spear-wielding attackers in 72 AD while clinging to a cross. In the year 1258, some of the relics of St. Thomas were brought to Ortona in Abruzzo, Italy, where they have been held in the Church of St. Thomas the Apostle. He is regarded as the patron saint of India among St. Thomas Christians, and the feast of St. Thomas is celebrated on July 3rd as Indian Christians' Day. The name Thomas remains of the quite popular among the St. Thomas Christians of the Indian state Kerala. Historical sites to visit: St. Thomas Cathedral Basilica, Chennai. Built over his traditional tomb, this cathedral is a major Catholic pilgrimage site. Second, St. Thomas Mount, an ancient shrine located on a hill where the apostle was martyred. The third one, Little Mount, the cave where Thomas is said to have hid and prayed. Even today, the story of St. Thomas continues to inspire millions of believers in India and on a peaceful hill in Chennai. His memory still lives on. In my next video, I will take you to the sacred place known as St. Thomas Mount, where history, faith and tradition meet. Visiting St. Thomas Mount is a dream for many Indians as well as many people in abroad, but many cannot afford. But now all you need to do is just to sit down with your family, relax and watch my videos fully. If you like the content, you like it, share it and subscribe it and ring the bell so that you may not miss the future videos of mine.